CISSN stands for Certified Sports Nutritionist from the ISSN. We started the certification to promote the need for science in the category. We are the leaders in sports nutrition category when it comes to the promotion of sports nutrition science. For the past 19 years, we've had it as a self-study with an online exam, but now officially through the Global Performance Nutrition Institute, also known as GPNi, the CISSN course together with the certification is available through our official partners at GPNi. The course is put together by many global experts around and will help give you the necessary tools to pass the 200 multiple choice exam. It'll teach you practical knowledge on sports nutrition, diet strategy, and how to use it in everyday situations with both professional and non-professional athletes. We're also creating case studies and homework assignments, helping you network and meet people throughout the world in online classroom and Zoom groups. It'll also be available in other languages besides English, such as Chinese and Japanese. So learn more and follow the GPNi through their website, www.thegpni.com, or follow them on social media at thegpni on Instagram.
Firstly, we would like to, we would like to thank everyone for joining, and I would like to give a little bit of background to our guest speaker. Our guest speaker today is, as everyone knows, and everyone has heard about and read many of the journals, researchers' books, or if you're one of our previous students, the exams, the CEO and co-founder of the International Society of Sports Nutrition, Alan.
好，大家首先欢迎大家参加我们这次的公开课。那首先我会简单介绍一下我们今天的嘉宾的他一个背景，就是我们的何塞博士 Jose 博士。但我们也是久仰大名啊，他也是出版了很多的一些论文、杂志书籍相关的一些研究。他也是我们国际营养学会的 CEO 以及是创办人。
Excellent. And Dr. Jose Antonio, I've personally been good friends, actually fans of Dr. Jose Antonio before we became friends, because I used to read many of the muscle and fitness magazines, and also was a big fan of EAS, one of the very, very original sports nutrition brands, and many other brands that Dr. Jose was involved in VPX, etc., etc. Dr. Jose Antonio, I would say, is one of the pioneers of the pioneers when it comes to real sports nutrition research and science, and applying it also in the real world.
在我跟这个何塞安东尼奥博士成为这个朋友之前呢，我也是拜读过他大量的一些相关的书籍啊，一些著作。当时我会看很多一些有关于如何去打造肌肉啊，一些健身的杂志，它上面就会登载很多有关于这个何塞博士所撰写的一些论文、一些文章。那何塞博士当时呢，我也是从这个 EAS 这样一个组织或者这样的一个品牌去得知这些东西的。这个 EAS 也是我们其实全世界啊这个运动营养学的一个运动营养学这个协会或者一些研究的一个前身的组织。他也是何塞博士，同时也是参加了很多一些不同品牌的一些建立和建造的过程。那我们可以说，何塞博士是我们这个前驱者中的前驱者，就是他是一个非常领先的人，一直在这个运动营养学方面带着我们披荆斩棘，去探索一些新的疆界。
Perfect. Now, if I've misrepresented you in any way, Dr. Jose, as I go on, please correct me. I'm shooting from the hip a little bit here, but a lot of the things I do believe are accurate. I am actually reading this part from the sportsnutritionsociety.org. So Dr. Jose is beyond being the CEO and co-founder of the International Society of Sports Nutrition. He is also the vice president of the Society of Neurosports, which is an academic non-profit with focus on sports neuroscience. So that's basically you working on sports nutrition aspects, but for the mind. Dr. Antonio earned his Ph.D. and completed a post-doctoral research in fellowship at the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas. Alan.
Yes， 那如果那个何塞博士有些如果我介绍的那个信息不太正确的话，请随时纠正我就好了。那因为我 所有这样一些信息都是从我们的 ISSN 的这个 .org 这样的一个链接上或者这个网站上去获得的。那除了他作为这个国际运动营养学协会的 CEO 和这个创建者之外啊，他同时也是国际这个运动神经学协会的一个 VP， 也就是副总裁。那这是一个非政府组织，这是一个非盈利性的组织，它是专门去致力于研究运动神经方面的一些内容，它是一个非常学术性的组织。那我们的何塞博士啊，他也是在这个德克萨斯大学去获得了他的这个博士头衔，并且进行了很多一些博士后的一些研究。
Excellent. I just posted the link in there too, Dr. Jose on the sportsnutritionsociety.org. Beyond the academic side, he's also written over 100 reviewed papers as well as 15 books.
那我也是将他的刚刚这样一些信息的内容啊，放在了我们这个群里面，也就是这个 issn.org 上所有他的有关介绍。那除了刚刚我们所说的这样他一些非常显赫的背景之外呢，他也是出版了以及去帮助审查了超过100篇不同的相关于这些运动营养学方面的这个著作、论文，还有15本不同的书籍。
And I'm summing up here. Also, his area of expertise and research are predominantly creatine and protein, but I know this may be a little outdated. I know personally, after conversations, Dr. Jose is branching out into things like hemp and CBD and plant protein and things like that as well. I would honestly like to go out on the limb here and say there is no expert that has done more research or more knowledgeable on protein itself. And if you're looking a lot of online influencers in Instagram, etc., they often like to quote research on the Journal of ISSN, the position stands that Dr. Jose himself has been a huge contributor on, and really the pioneer on proving the real science on protein versus bro science and BS science. So I'd very much like to warmly welcome Dr. Jose Antonio, but before we do that, please translate Alan on that last little piece.
现在我也其实稍微简单的总结一下，那他的这个主要的研究领域啊，都集中在这个蛋白质以及肌酸方面。同时呢，他也会去研究，比如说有关 CBD 啊，还有其他的一些相关的补剂物质。那我可以说啊，这个何塞博士是世界上对于蛋白质研究或者这个蛋白质研究方面最为权威的一位专家。那通过不同的一些社交媒体，比如说像 Instagram 或者其他的一些这样的不同的平台，很多的一些研究或者很多的一些博主啊，或者他们的一些资料的来源。都是引用何塞博士所进行的一些研究或者所发现的一些东西。那所以说，我们为什么说这是何塞博士在这个方面，在蛋白质这个方面是专家中的专家，先驱中的先驱。以上。
Welcome, Dr. Jose.
我们欢迎何塞博士。
Thank you, Drew. Thank you for the translation as well. I am with everyone here. And I apologize for the technical difficulties. It's for whatever reason, being on the other side of the world, things don't always work perfectly, but I'm happy to help, and hopefully I can answer all of your questions.
那感谢 Drew 的这个非常好的介绍，也感谢 Alan 进行的翻译啊。那我首先要向大家致歉了，不好意思，一开始可能耽误了一些大家的时间。我从这个美国，从这个世界的另一端，从大洋彼岸美国与大家进行这样的一个直播分享啊，我们总是会遇上一些这个科技啊或者这个链接方面的一些问题，我向大家表示歉意。那今天呢，我也希望我非常高兴有这样一个机会与大家进行这样的一个公开课或者公开的一个见面，我会尽量去回答大家的问题，我希望能够去回答到大家的问题。
Okay, excellent. So we've done a very warm introduction, and I know Dr. Jose quite well personally. It's many things he does like. One of them is research. The other is paddleboarding, probably not in that order. Paddleboarding more than even research. But there's also a few things he dislikes, and I think one of them is reading PowerPoint slides. Which
以上是我们刚刚就是稍微简单介绍了一下这个何塞博士他的一些背景啊，不好意思，就是其他的一些嘉宾，就是 听众的话，可不可以把你的麦克风关掉？我这边受到很多的一些噪声、风噪，导致我听不到那个的声音。OK， 谢谢你。然后听不到他们的那个声音，他就是感谢我们有这样的一个稍微简单的介绍了一下。然后何塞博士，我知道他在这个研究方面是非常有建树的。那今天呢，我们也不会，因为他可能在这个技术或者他也不喜欢去与大家去讲很冗长的一些内容，所以说今天我们都不会用到 PPT，都不会用到这个 PowerPoint 来进行讲述，更多会用一种互动的方式。
So due to that, we always, when we have Dr. Jose, who's extremely busy in research, his academic life, he also has a lot of commercial research that he does for big brands and ingredients and things. We like to ensure to make it fun and Q&A. So lots of question and answers. Dr. Jose is trying to log back in. Maybe he had a phone call on his phone. But we like to have it as lively and interactive as possible. So I think he's going to try and log back in now. So we have a lot of questions from the audience. Is there an order there, Alan? I believe the team has sent you an order of people. Or how do we do this, Laura?
I do the translation first. 我们都知道这个何塞博士非常的忙啊，因为他有很多不同的一些身份在，比如说他在大学里面也是会担任一些这种学术的研究工作，也会去担任一些教书的工作，同时呢，他也在很多的一些大品牌，就是那些补剂品牌方面，会为他们提供顾问一些服务，让他们去创造或者打造更好的一些这个产品，为我们的这些健身人士所使用。所以说我们今天也是希望我们整个过程呢有趣，互动性强，所以说我们安排了这样的一个 Q&A 的过程，也是问答的环节，希望能够通过这种直播的方式与大家进一步的去打造这种互动的体验。现在因为我们已经之前整理出了相关的一些这个问题，预整理出的一些问题，也向一些听众去收集到了这样一些问题，我们会一个一个来进行提问。我们问一下 Dora 怎么来进行操作。
Okay.
Gavin 是我们的同行老师吗？
In the WeChat group.
好的，我们用这个微信的微信群来显示一下我们的一些问题。
Just a second.
请大家稍等一下。
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, the phone died. I relogged. The phone died. So sorry about that.
All good, mate. All good. We're all here, mate. We were just doing the translation anyway, mate. Basically just saying that, which what I was talking about, that you prefer just Q&A and sick of teaching and PowerPoint slides, and he was translating that, so you haven't missed anything.
Awesome.
Okay, so I just read the questions, right, one by one.
Yeah.
So the first one, Dr. Jose, is how can we read the literature or the essays or the papers more effectively to keep ourselves up to date?
Wow, that's a great question. Here's what I would recommend. I've talked to Drew about this because it's a common question, that and I think this is the best way, the position stands that the ISSN has are probably the best summaries of all of the literature in sports nutrition. And I think Drew would probably agree with that.
这是一个非常棒的问题啊。那么我会有这样的一个建议或者这样一个推荐。那么我之前也跟 Drew 讨论过这样的一个问题，因为这个问题非常常见，大家通常会有这样的问题。我觉得最好的一个方式啊，就是说你可以去阅读一下有关于 ISSN，也是国际运动营养协会它的一个网站上，或者它相关出版的相关的一些这个论文啊，或者一些刊物，它的一个总结或者它的一个摘要。我认为因为 ISSN 或者这样之间的一些文献是世界上最为全面的或者最为综合性的一些有关于运动营养学方面的一些知识和最新一些动向的一些一个宝库或者一个浓缩。我建议大家可以去读一下上面的东西。
Yeah, I'd like to add on to that is you know, with that question, and it is a great question, there is a lot of research out there. I mean, too much. And a big percentage of it, and I think Dr. Jose would agree, and why the ISSN was founded, is not always accurate, and also to marketing like elements, like it's marketing a product or ingredient not necessarily in the right way. So what the ISSN position stands do is filter out all the rubbish, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Jose, filter out all the rubbish and put all the good research into one summary, so you don't have to be reading tens of thousands of research papers on protein, some of them saying it's going to be killing you or making you bald or all of this nonsense. You know, it really summarizes things down into, you know, what is the facts.
我稍微再那个补充一下啊，这个问题，真的是非常好。但是呢，我们知道市面上或者我们的社交媒体上或者不同的一些来源有很多一些这种方面的资源或者很多的一些研究，甚至太多了。但是他们很大一部分呢，我可能这个何塞博士也是同意我这一点，很大一部分他们的一些结论呢或者内容确实不精确或者甚至是错误的，有很多一些是民科啊，一些是我所谓的垃圾信息。那么对于 ISSN 来说，它最好的一个作用或者它代表的一个立场，就是去帮助大家。过滤掉这样的一些就是民间科学的内容，或者我们所说的这些垃圾的信息或者不正确的信息。比如说，有些这个论文会说到这个蛋白质啊，或者这个蛋白粉呢吃的多啊，或者怎么样，可能会造成我们这个健康出现损害，或者这样的一些错误性的内容。它会帮忙我们去过滤这些错误性的信息，然后去留下那些正确的或者经过压缩或者经过这个精挑细选的一些信息去阅读就可以了。我们所以说就不用去阅读大量的信息，只要去阅读 ISSN 上面经过挑选的这些信息，就是最好的一个结果或者选择。
That felt longer than what I said.
Yeah, sorry, I just make some explanations.
Thank you, professional. Was that a good summary, Dr. Jose, or would you like to add anything onto that, what I said?
No, I think it was a good summary, and I do agree that oftentimes there's so much rubbish online that it's difficult to discern what is fact and what is, BS.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I would concur with what you said, Drew.
是的啊，那何塞博士啊，我说的对吗？您还有什么补充吗？我同意你的说法，确实网上不管是网上还是其他一些地方存在的大量一些信息、垃圾的信息或者民科信息，他们其实让我们很难去分辨到底是孰真孰假。那么我们到底什么是真正的现实，或者什么是真正的真理，或者哪些哪些又是垃圾信息？而 ISSN 就可以很好帮助我们去进行这样的一个过滤。
Okay, excellent. Now, I believe we got a question from Wilson. Wilson has a direct question. Wilson, are you there, please? Please, if you can put your camera on and audio on.
Wilson， 请问你在吗？我看到你有打一个问题出来是吗
？Hello。
你好，您可以直接提问吗？直接。
Yeah. My question is about. I have already read a lot of article and position stand from ISSN, and I thought they were all good article. But I read the guidance of CISSN, and it said I have to read maybe 5 to 10 years all the ISSN article. So it's still a very big amount of article. So it's very hard for me to read that much article in maybe 1 or 2 months. Maybe I have to spend a lot of time, and also because I'm a student now, I have to also spend some time on my career, and maybe I don't have a lot of spare time to read that much amount of ISSN article. So I think maybe it's very hard for me to prepare for the CISSN examination.
我先翻译一下这个问题啊，它是有关于他确实说非常好，那个 ISSN 上面确实有很多一些非常好的这个文章啊，一些研究的一些结果。但是呢，对我来说，这些 ISSN 上面的这些研究或者这些文章还是太多了，我可能要读光他们要花5到10个月的时间呢。那我作为一个学生，我有自己的学业，我可能要去找工作，可能要去不同的一些东西来占用我的时间，我可能没有那么多的空余时间去阅读这些文章，可能我要花1到2个月时间才能把所有的一些东西都读完。那对于我来说，去准备一个 CISSN 的考试来说，就是非常困难。那您对这个有什么建议吗？
Can I address that, Drew? Okay. I think you were muted, Drew.
Yes, of course. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay. That's actually a common question in terms of the volume of information. And since you have limited time, everybody has limited time. I would highly recommend, rather than reading all of the journal articles from JISSN for the last 5 or 10 years, I would memorize the position stands of the last 5 years, because the position stands actually summarize, or we attempt, it'll summarize all of the literature. And the goal is this. The goal is to pass the CISSN. I mean, I don't know, maybe your goal is to get a 100%, which I always tell people that's not realistic. But if the goal is to pass, just study, memorize those position stands from the last 5 or 6 years. I think that would work quite well for you.
我可以回答这个问题吗？这个 Drew 是的，请您回答。那么确实啊，在我们这样一个资料库上，它这个信息的量还是很多，每个人的时间都是非常有限的。那我的这样的一个建议来说，那就是你与其去我们不可能去把每篇文章或者每一个研究的报告去一一进行细读，我们可以去读一下我们的 position standards， 就是这个 这个 ISSN position standards， 它是很好的去浓缩了或者去提炼了相关的这些研究中的一些要点。那么我不知道你的目标是什么，你的目标比如说是想在 CISSN 的考试中获得100分或者满分，那么我建议这个目标可能是不太现实的，因为确实蛮难的。那我的建议呢，你可以去尽量去记住过去5到6年间的有在 SSIN 上面的这样的一些 position standards。那这样的话，你有助于你，我觉得你应该就可以通过考试了。以上是我的建议。
Thank you. I'd like to just add, because I am CISSN certified myself. Nearly killed me. I'm the opposite to an academic. I mean, seriously, I mean, I was sweating during the process and I studied a lot. Even though I've got 23 years experience in the industry, it's not from that spectrum of sports nutrition. Alan, translate that. Try to keep the translation really synced and then I'll continue.
OK， 那我稍微简单补充一下，因为我本身就是参加了这个 CISSN 的考试啊，整个这个受证过程啊，对我来说是很困难的一个过程。当时我也是花了很多精力，即使我在这个业内，在这个健身呢，在这样的一个补剂这样一个行业已经有23年的一个经验，我还是当时我还是就是这种过程还是对我来说充满挑战。
Yeah, I'd like to say on that, it depends on your background a little bit as well. The position stands are very, very important, but you will need to understand physiology aspects of things that, you know, many people that have got a degree in these areas may understand. But for me, I didn't understand those enough, and that's actually where in that category, in the 4 categories, I did very badly. So, you know, fortunately, as Dr. Jose Antonio knows, for the last 18 months, nearly 2 years, we have been building a course with many other experts involved in the ISSN, including a mutual very good friend and works with Dr. Jose Antonio, Casey. You know, we've been building a dedicated course that you still need to read the position stands. You still need to digest them, but we help hold your hand along the way to make it a lot more efficient to potentially pass the exam. But it is still a difficult exam. Alan, thank you.
是的，那个首先呢，当然说是也是跟这个整个过程呢，如果你要去考 CISSN 的话，也是跟您的这个背景啊有关系的。比如说， 如果你有在生理学方面的一些背景的知识啊，或者怎么样的话，那你去通过这样的一些考试呢，可能会相对更加容易一些。那当时对我来说，我在一些方面可能会更加熟悉一点，一些方面我可能也是比较挣扎的，这也是取决各位的一个背景知识或者你们的专业的一些来源。那么我之前也是跟何塞那个博士说过啊，我们在过去的18个月到24个月的之前呢，这个过程中啊，我们也是打造一个课程，我们当时也是跟 Cathy 一起合作，相关的一些很多专家一起合作。当然说这也是我通过这个课程呢，我们会手牵手或者手把手教会大家如何去阅读这个position stance 相关的一些内容，如何去一一去经过去学习上面的一些内容，然后帮助大家去建立这样一些知识的一个体系或者这样的一个基础，从而让大家可以在 CISSN 的这个整个过程中获得更好成绩，或者通过这样的考试。
Excellent. We have another question, I believe.
我们还有另外一个问题。
Is there any specific direct questions, or do we go by the Excel? Dora?
那现在如果我们没有这个直接提问的人的话，我们还会通过这个
It's in the WeChat.
我们来进行下一个之前我们收集到的问题。
So we have a gentleman by the name of, you'll have to read it, Alan. Did you open the Excel spreadsheet?
Yes. So the second one is, does CISSN involve any medical knowledge?
You want to translate that, or I'll answer it?
他的问题就是说 CISSN 的这个课程内容是不是涉及到一定的医学知识、医学背景？
The simple answer to that would probably be no, unless it has a direct bearing in terms of safety issues. Like, for instance, questions of whether creatine is safe for the kidneys. Technically, that's not medical knowledge, but it is in a way related to medicine. But we don't ask any questions that are directly related to medicine.
Okay. 那如果简单回答了一下的话，这个问题答案是否。那除非呢，它的这样的一个内容啊，直接与这个药物或者这个补剂的安全性是息息相关的。我举例，这个肌酸呢，很多人都会问到这个问题，它是不是会造成这个肾脏方面的一些问题啊，或者一些毛病？那这样的话就会跟医学啊，或者跟这个医药方面会有一些相关的联系，但是我们都不会直接从医学方面去回答这样的一些问题。
I'd like to just add a small point on that, and we get that question a lot too. You guys are not, anyone who studies CISSN, SNS, anything, you guys are not doctors. You're not at all trained. You can't recommend certain things. You don't diagnose disease. So there should be zero, and this is also liability aspect of things. You should be giving zero medical advice whatsoever. This is not what your certification, your qualification. You are not a doctor. You're not a Ph.D, but you're not even a medical doctor. They're two very different things, and you do need to be careful of that because you can, there is legal liability there. So absolutely not. There's no medical application or advice that you can give.
是的，不管是 CISSN 还是 SSN 的一个立场来说，各位参加这个考试或者去认证的这样的一些人，绝大部分人都不是医生，都没有受过有关于这个医学方面的一些专门的培训或者这样的一些训练，所以说我们也不可能说直接去给予一些医学方面的建议或者给予医学方面的一些诊断的结果。那我的建议或者我的这样的一个经验就是不要去给予我们的客户或我们的学生直接的这样的一些医学方面的建议，因为我们不是医学的博士，我们不是医生，千万不要给这样的一些医学方面的建议，否则的话可能会去承担一些这个法律方面的这个责任。就是以上。
Cool. Number 3 question, I've put them because I couldn't do WeChat groups and multiple apps. I put it all in the Teams app. So number 3 question, Alan, what is the biggest problem that a teacher encountered when he's a sports nutrition consultant, and how do we solve that? Can you please translate that into Chinese? And I put it
就是在作为一个运动营养学的专家的时候，在进行运动营养咨询的这样的一个过程中，您所遇到的最大的难题或者挑战是什么？那您又是如何解决或者克服的？
Drew, could you repeat that or paraphrase that for me?
Sure, mate. Yeah, I put it in the chat aspect. If you open up you probably can't see it on your phone,
So
mate.
I'm going to read it to you, Dr. Jose. So what is the biggest problem or challenge during your career as a sports nutritionist? So how did you overcome it, or how did you meet the challenge?
Well, the quick answer is we're still overcoming it. The biggest challenge, believe it or not, is misinformation from other health professionals. That would include physicians, athletic trainers, and dietitians. Those three groups, even though they're, my father always said, just because you're educated doesn't mean you're smart. Even though they're highly educated, oftentimes they are the biggest purveyors of misinformation.
OK. 这个问题我简单回答一下，就是说我们仍在克服这个我个人认为最大的这样的一个障碍或者这样的一个挑战过程中，那我个人认为最大的挑战或者最大的困难就是说出现的很多一些错误的信息或者一些道听途说的一些内容。那这些内容呢，可能是来自于其他一些专家的，包括有一些包括来自于其他的一些医生啊，来自于其他的一些这个运动专家啊，包括其他的一些膳食专家。那这不同的这个群体啊，他们可能会给出不同的一些就以同样的事情会给出不同的一些信息。那就是好像我父亲所说的，即使你受过高等教育，那可能就但是不代表你这个人是足够聪明的。那可能这些书读的越多，可能他的这种固执程度会越高，他给出的这样的一些这个错误的信息啊，可能他的就是这个离谱程度会更加大一些。以上。
And the fourth question?
第四个问题 What is the foundation of CISSN series? Or what is the CISSN theory based on?
This, okay, probably the best way to answer that is the CISSN is based on what would be the most current and relevant research in sports nutrition science. And what's difficult to do is that sports nutrition, and even Drew as a non-scientist would probably agree, the new knowledge expands so quickly that it's not like other fields like anatomy or even medicine probably doesn't expand as quickly. Sports nutrition is so new that it's always different each year. So we try to keep up with the latest research, and it's always based on the latest research.
是的，我快速回答一下这个问题。那我们它的这个理论依据啊，是来自于最新的或者最为相关的一些研究的结果。对于这个运动营养学来说，可能作为像 Drew 这样的一个非学术出身或者非科学家这样一个身份，也会同意我这样的一个想法。也就是说，在这个这个运动营养学的这个领域啊，它的这个知识的扩展的速度是非常之快的，可能超过任何的一些科学，比如说超过医学，超过任何的一些东西。尤其是最近几年，它呈现一个爆炸式的增长。所以说，我们必须要去与最新的或者最为相关的一些研究进行一个对齐，保持一个共同前进的一个速度。
Perfect. Yeah, I'd like to add on to that. I mean, I absolutely agree with you, Dr. Jose, Antonio, in regards to what it is, but with like the position stands and everything, as to go a little bit deeper on that answer, is they're always updated, and they're also updated from multiple experts from globally, not just North America, but from Japan, from Germany, from indirectly China, from universities, and it's truly a global collaboration of the experts and ensuring it's the most up-to-date critical research without the BS and rubbish as well. So that's really what the CISSN certification represents, and the qualification represents that you are not just qualified, but you are qualified up to date to the research that is present now.
我稍微补充一点啊，我也是非常同意何塞博士所说的这个东西。那我们的这些 CISS 这个 SSIN 的ISSN 的这个 position stance，它也是非常深奥的一些非常好的一些内容啊，它也是不断的会进行一个更新的过程，而这个更新过程呢，或者这个不断的去迭代的一个过程，不只是由我们这个北美的一些专家来进行更新或者来进行做出贡献的。它是来自于全球不同的大学的或者研究机构的一些共同的这些科研的结果，可能来自于德国啊，可能来自于日本的，或者来自于中国大学的一些专家教授他们所做出的一些研究的结果。所以说，这是一个全球共同努力的一个产物，他们帮助我们去去除掉那些所谓的错误信息，还有那些垃圾信息，给到我们这些正确的信息。所以说，一旦我们得到了这个 CISSN 的这个认证之后，它不只是代表你们有这样的一个身份，同时代表着你们所掌握的这些知识内容和背景的都是最新的有关于运动营养学方面的一些研究。So I proceed to the next question, right?
Yeah. Yep, that's fine. Thank you, mate.
Question number 5. What career advice is there for sports dietitians or nutritionists?
Career advice. I can only answer that in terms of North America, particularly the United States and Canada.
Okay.
And what's interesting is nobody actually follows a specific career path. Like for instance, in the state of Florida, I mean, Florida as a state is different than other states. Some work as personal trainers. Some will work with college and or professional sports teams. I have one friend who's a sports nutritionist, and she works only with mixed martial arts fighters. But I think the common thread is that for the most part, you have to be somewhat entrepreneurial in sports nutrition. It's not like, for instance, if you get a degree in medicine, you're a medical doctor. You're not anything else. If you get a degree in physical therapy, you're a physical therapist. If you work in sports nutrition, you really can, the advantage is you can create your own career path or job. And I think that's the beauty of it.
这个问题啊，我所代表的立场可能只是针对于北美，也就是针对于美国和加拿大这个地区的一些这个立场啊，这是非常有趣的一个问题啊。这是非常有趣的一个问题。那么其实呢，在我看来啊，其实并没有一个固定的或者是一个这样的整个这个我们的工作生涯或者这样的一个职业发展的一个路径啊。对于佛罗里达来说，我在佛罗里达州嘛，我住在佛罗里达州，所以说佛罗里达州的这种，我遇到了很多人，他们所做的这样的一些工作啊，就是这个运动营养学方面的工作也是完全不同的。比如说有些人他们通过 CISSN 之后，他们是作为一个个人教练，或者就是一个这个健身房的教练来进行来为大家服务。同时呢，有些人呢，可能是在大学的这些运动队里面，各种比如足球队啊、篮球队里面进行服务。还有人是作为，比如说我认识一个人，他是专门为那个综合格斗的队伍或者运动员进行提供这相关的服务的。那我认为这个作为运动营养学方面一个专家来说，有一个很大的优势，就是说你可以去参加到一些，你可以作为一个企业，你可以有这样一种企业家的精神，作为一个企业家来去打造你自己的这个职业的生涯。那比如说像医生啊，或者像其他一些，不管是内科医生或者怎么样，你可能一旦获得这样的一个头衔之后，你可能只能当医生或者怎么样。那当然，对于这个 CISSN 的这个获得者来说，你可以去建构你自己的职业生涯，这是我认为最为令人着迷的一个方面。
Thank you, Alan. Question 6. What is the difference between CISSN and ISSN SNS certification? Dr. Jose. Alan, can you translate that quickly? And then Dr. Jose.
问题是 CISSN 的认证和 SSN-SNS 的认证有什么区别？
The ISSN SNS is meant more as an introductory certification for those individuals who may not feel they have the proper science background. The CISSN is the advanced certification. These are typically for those within it with a really good science background. And at least here in the United States, most people who work in our industry would consider the CISSN probably the most difficult certification, period. Nothing comes close. It is, I tell students all the time, you need to study hard for this because it is a difficult exam.
我简单说一下这个后者，也就是 ISSN、SNS，它来说可能是一个比较入门级别的一个认证的结果，它可能会教授你一些相关的简单的这个科学的背景啊、科学的知识等等等等。那对于 CISSN 来说，就是一个非常进阶的、非常深的一个课程呢，或者一个认证了。那这也是针对很多拥有这种专业性背景知识的一些人士所开设的。那在美国这个整个范围之内CISSN 是最难的、最难通过的或者获得的一个有关于运动营养方面的一个认证。我一直跟我的学生说，你一定要努力学习，才能去通过这个考试，或者才能通过这样的一个认证。
Cool, thank you. And question 7. What is the help? These are translated, I think, AI translation.
Yeah.
I've done a better job. So I have to reread it a few times. So basically, how does the CISSN certification help in your career?
Yeah.
I'll translate first.
Yes. Alan?
有
Question
after
seven.
获得 CISSN 的认证之后，对职业发展有什么帮助？ So am I reading the right question? So
how does it help?
So after getting getting certified by CISSN, what kind of the career development can we have, right?
Yes.
That's the okay.
Yeah, the purpose of the CISSN, particularly in, again, my experience in the United States and Canada, is that it gives employers an idea that at least you're quite competent in sports nutrition. Prior to the CISSN, employers really had no idea of knowing whether you knew nutrition. They'd have to interview you extensively. But now when they see the certification, at least they can check that off saying, oh, okay, this individual is actually pretty well versed in sports nutrition. And right now, it's really the only certification that focuses on sports nutrition. Others might have clinical aspects related to it, but in terms of pure sports nutrition, it's the CISSN.
它的这个目的那当然说，我也是再次代表这个北美市场，也就是美国和加拿大的市场。那比如说，它对于你的职业的帮助来说，它可能就是对于如果你去面试相关的一个这个运动营养学方面的一个职位的话，一个工作的话，那么你的老板或者你的雇主，他们。如果你没有这个 CISSN 的认证，它可能即使你在这个行业可能已经有很长时间的一个经验或者很丰富的一些知识但是他对你这样的一个身份或者对于你的这个知识的这个基础，人家会有很多的疑问，他们可能会经过多轮的这个面试，然后一步一步去询问到你真正的这个基础到底是什么。但是，一旦你通过这个 CISSN 的这个认证之后，那么这个雇主或者你的这个老板呢，他就会一目了然知道你通过这个认证，就知道你这个人在运动营养学方面是有非常深刻的或者非常丰富的这样的一些经验知识的。那这个 CISSN 的这样一个认证呢，是目前市面上唯一的一个只针对运动营养学方面的一个认证。那当然说会有其他一些竞品或者其他的一些类似的认证，但是那些还会包括很多一些临床方面的东西。那 CISSN 是唯一的市面上去只针对或者聚焦在这个运动营养学方面的一个认证。以上 ，over。
Thank you, Alan. Question 8. Are there many people in the world with the CISSN certification? Dr. Jose. Alan, please translate.
Which one is there? How many people? Okay. 世界上有多少人通过了这个 CISSN 的认证？
Yeah, as of now, I think the count is somewhere close to 10,000. Now, most of them, I will say most of them are in North America, Australia, the United Kingdom, and then parts of Europe. However, with Drew has been very good in spreading the word in the Far East, and I think ultimately that might be the biggest group of people that get the CISSN. But for the most part, it's and we have a few in Japan as well, but for the most part, it's North America, Australia, and Europe.
就我所知啊，现在这样的一个全球通过 CISSN 认证的人数大概是在1万左右。那大部分他如果按照这个人数来进行一个这个人数的这个分布来进行一个排列的话，可能美国还就是这个美国和北美，就是美国和加拿大，排在比较前面，然后之后澳大利亚啊、英国啊，然后还有欧洲的一些腹地等等。那大部分的现在通过这个认证的1万名都集中在这些地方。那 Drew 我认为他做出了非常好的贡献，把这样的一个认证呢带到了我们的这个东方啊，带到了远东啊。我们知道在日本会有几位经过认证的一个同事啊。我认为啊，因为基于我们这个亚洲的这个人口的基数啊，我认为以后大量的 CISSN 的认证的人群会在这个地方。那现在目前为止，大部分的1万名的这个认证的同事啊，或者这些专业人士，仍旧在北美、澳大利亚，也就是在这些西方国家。
Thank you. And this is the last question, and then if we've got a little bit of time, some open Q&A if there are, but this is the last written question. And I'll help answer this as well a little bit, but I'm sure you can guess what's in the course because it's related to the course. So Dr. Jose, what are the learning contents of the CISSN certification course by the GPNi?
这个问题是 CISSN，sorry, I need to translate first. CISSN 的认证课程的学习内容有哪些？
I think there are 4 large categories that you need to know, starting with basic science. You need to know basic physiology, which includes muscle physiology and metabolism. That actually, it might be the most difficult part for some people because it's not anything people normally study. And then you need to know general nutrition, which is important, and also dietary supplements. So if you know nutrition, dietary supplements, what I call the energy systems or metabolism, and then basic physiology, that's typically how it's broken down. Now, I will be a little bit more specific. You better know protein, you better know creatine, and you better know caffeine. Those are 3 big ones that have a lot of research: creatine, protein, and caffeine. The supplement stuff is actually a fairly large part of the exam.
True. Alan?
它大概会有4大支柱或者4大内容啊。首先就是一个基础科学方面，它包括比如说有生理学啊，有这个你的肌肉的一个组成啊，还有你的消化系统啊，包括你的新陈代谢系统等等。那这可能对于大部分人说是比较困难的，最为困难的一个部分，因为这个东西确实蛮专业或者蛮科学的。然后其他还有一些，比如说一般的这个通用的营养学啊，还有我们的这个膳食的补剂啊，等等等等。还有这个包括还有这个能量方面的一些东西。那么对于膳食的补剂或者这个补充物来说，我要稍微再讲的细一点，他们可能包括，因为有很多不同的一些补剂啊，一些补充物，但是这个蛋白质，然后肌酸还有咖啡因这三个东西是最为基础的，是考的相对比较多一点的东西，会涉及到比较多一点的东西。但是补剂的内容确实非常丰富，我们都知道。以上。
Thank you. I'd like to, this is an important question. I'd like to add just a couple of other key points because it's related to the course content. So the most important is that within the course, and it took nearly 2 years to create the course and multiple edits with multiple experts that many Dr. Jose Antonio knows, that we really need to ensure that we're hand-holding you to ensure that we can teach you the elements that are critical to pass the exam. And as Dr. Jose Antonio mentioned, some of those are related to physiology, supplements, but we certainly deep dive on some of the critical things on the energy systems, protein and creatine. Alan, translate. Continue.
是的，我稍微来补充一下，因为这个是直接相关于我们有关于我们课程的这些内容的。其中比较重要的一些部分就是说，在过去2年间呢，就像我刚刚所说的，在过去2年间，我们去精心设计了这样一套课程，也是与很多的一些专家进行合作。 其中一些专家也是我们何塞博士所熟知的，也是他的一个老朋友。通过这样的一个课程的教授啊，我们是希望能够手把手去陪伴大家，或者去教授给大家相关的一些英语这个元素或者这样的一些重点，能够让大家去通过这样的一个考试。就好像这个何塞博士刚刚所说到的一些内容，包括一些生理学方面的一些内容啊，包括补剂啊，包括我们的这个能量方面的一些转换、能量的一些系统等等等等相关的内容。
Yeah, and we added a couple of other points because we wanted to really ensure, because it's not a cheap course, especially in China, people are paying a lot of money to do this. So we really need to ensure that they're getting their value. And I think the important aspect beyond, which is extremely important, beyond though just getting certified, is to ensure that certification and that qualification can help grow their career. So we have a lot of other points in regards to improving their presentation skills, ensuring their ethics elements are in, their ethics and following the rules of sports nutrition are in play, teaching elements within the course itself, and coaching elements. So how to use that knowledge, create diet plans at a higher level, and work with athletes. These are all components within the course as well. So using the theory aspects of the CISSN, but then in linking them with the practical aspects of how to use it in your everyday life and career.
是的。另外，我想补充的一点就是说，这个课程呢并不便宜，尤其是对于我们中国的一些学员来说，他们要花很多钱，花出很多的这样的一些经济方面的一些成本来上这样一个课程。所以说，我们希望通过这个课程给予到大家真正的一些这个价值。那除了我刚刚所说到这样的一些，我希望我们一旦这个学员通过这个认证之后，可以为他们的这些职业生涯助力，让他们能够从此腾飞啊。那除了我刚刚所说到的这样的一些基础的一些理论方面的一些内容之外呢，我们还会去教授到一些非常实用的东西，比如说如何去进行这个如何在我们的与学员的教授的过程中或者训练过程中给他们进行这些讲解，如何更有效的讲解。同时我们也会提供到很多有关于这个运动或者运动营养伦理学方面的一些内容，也就是如何去以符合遵守规则的方式来为他们提供膳食或者补剂方面的一些为运动员提供补剂方面的一些建议或者安排。其他呢还有比如说包括如何去更好的去指导，或者去给他们提供教练方面的服务，如何去通过我们的这样的一些理论的知识去为我们的运动员或者为我们的客户去设计相关的一些餐食打造这样一种高品质的餐食的一种补充的过程。那也就是大家可以看到，这是一个理论和实用的一个结合的课程。
Thank you. Wow, that seemed a lot. So I won't keep it because I'm sure you've got a paddleboard to catch, mate. And I would be too, mate, for sure. So if it's okay, and if there aren't, we can finish early. But if there's 2 questions from the audience, we welcome 2 more questions. Brief, not extremely long. If there's 2 more questions from the audience, and then we'll have to say再见。
我们知道这个何塞博士，我刚刚都说过了，这个何塞博士很忙，他可能之后就要去运动了，但是也是开玩笑。那在我们刚刚这样的所有的一些列表问题已经都一一来问到了，已经也进行解答了。现在我们开放2个问题给予到我们现在现场的观众，给予到两个问题。现在有没有观众或者听众想要来问问题的，可以随时打开麦克风和摄像头来给我们的何塞博士或者 Drew 来提问，我们来现场解答2个问题，开放2个名额。
Let's see some faces here.
Turn your camera. I need a show.
如果您要提问的话，请打开您的麦克风和摄像头，让我们可以能够更加直观的了解到您的一些疑问和想法。
Could be any questions?
Hello.
Food? Oh, go
有
ahead.
任何问题吗？
Hello. Hello, Dr. Herself.
Hi.
I'm very honored to meet you, but
Can you turn
because of
the
the
camera?
coronavirus, I'm being quarantined. So I didn't need to see anyone else. So I am not make up. So I don't want to turn my camera.
好的，那谢谢您何塞博士。那么因为我今天没有化妆这个 Teams 也没有这个美颜功能，所以说不好意思，我不能开这摄像头。
And I want to do research in this field too, like you. But and I'm planning to apply for master degree in sport too. So I just know a little thing about sport nutrition, but now I'm interested in it. So my question is, I'd like to know which college major is most helpful in your opinion.
You want to translate that? Then I will answer.
您的这个问题再问一下好吗？是什么？
My question is, I'd like to know which college major is most helpful in your opinion.
Okay, I'll answer that.
Calling major 是什么东西
I'll tell you, my major was biology.
Okay, major. I'm sorry, I do the translation first. 谢谢我可能谢谢您这个何塞博士，我可能也会向您去做一些相关的一些研究啊。那现在我也是正在去读我这个运动方面的一个这个硕士的一个学位啊。那么我可能对运动营养学也是有很多的兴趣，但是我可能还是仍旧在这个方面进行探索。我的问题是，对于这个运动营养学来说，我这个专业要读什么东西会比较好一点？或者您认为最重要的一个专业是什么？
I would suggest the college major today to study would be exercise and sports science. A second choice would probably be biology. I was a biology major in college, but that's because there was no exercise science when I was in college because I'm quite old. But I would highly recommend exercise science. And at my university in Florida, Nova Southeastern University, we have a great master's degree in exercise science. And I also work with Ph.D. students in exercise science.
我的建议啊，就是如果你读大学的这个专业的话，我第一个推荐就是我首要推荐就是运动科学，这是最好的一个专业。然后第二个推荐就是生物学，因为我当时在读大学的时候就是选的生物学，因为当时呢还没有设立这个运动科学这样一个专业。那在我的这个大学就有非常好的有关于这个运动科学方面的一个硕士的一个学位，我们可能是就是非常好的一些内容。同时呢，我也会与一些我也会帮助一些，我也是这个运动科学的博士的一个导师。
Thank you. So, can we get a chance to contact you and join your team?
所以我有机会的话，我也想加入您的这样的一个团队啊，如果有机会的。
Well, I would say if you want to study with us in Florida, I mean, we're always looking for great students, and we're always looking, for great graduate students. So if that's an interest. First, I would recommend meeting us in person at the ISSN conference. Hopefully, Drew will be there next year. But that would be the best thing to do.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
我们也是作为大学呢，我们也是在佛罗里达，在佛罗里达这个大学，我们也是一直在招很多的一些本科生呢来读我们这样的一个这个硕士的学位啊。当然说，我另外一个建议就是说，你可以通过 Drew 这边去上他的 CISSN 的课程，或者上这个 ISSN 的课程，来进行更好的有关于运动营养学方面的一些学习，也可以。当然说，在这个课程上，你也可以与我进行互动，因为我也会去教授这门课程。
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
I certainly hope we're there. And as we tried to plan for 2020, bringing a group over, a specialized group with translation as a tour of Florida and to go to the ISSN conference in Florida go as a group to the conference. We were very much looking forward to that, and hopefully next year, Dr. Jose, we can do that. So if anyone's on the audience, and of course it is possible to travel June next year at Fort Lauderdale. Is that right, Fort Lauderdale?
Yes, Fort Lauderdale Beach.
On the beach. And I've been there myself, and I've stayed in the Hilton Hotel. Amazing place. June next year, the ISSN conference. We hopefully are organising a tour as a group with translation to go, as long as we can travel.
Okay, thank you.
Alan?
对啊，朱，我也稍微这个来补充一下呢，我们也是希望能够在明年的2023年的6月份，如果一旦这个我们的全球旅行这个禁令能够解除的话，我们也是希望能够组织这样的一个学习团，届时在2023年的6月去佛罗里达去参观或者去参加这个世界或者去国际运动营养学的这样的一个会议一个大会，届时呢我们会在佛罗里达与这个我们的何塞博士。相见，那么与他进行更多的一些交流。届时呢，我们也是会有随团的一些翻译啊，带着大家去参加这个会议。那么当然说前提就是全球这个禁令解除，我们就可以去了。届时呢，我们会在这个佛罗里达的这个他是在这个会议会在一个这个海滩的一个区域进行，所以说届时我们可以享受这个海滩风光、热带风光。
Okay, thank you. One very short question, if there is any. Anybody?
在最后一个问题，再开放最后一个问题。
Wang Mian, go ahead, please.
王老师，请您说。
各位老师好，能听见吗
？Yes， 能听见，您说。
那个我直接用中文可以问吧？
您说。
是这样的，因为我是一个体能和专项教练，我的大部分学员都是青少年。我不知道，就是何塞老师。会在课程当中有没有一些青少年的建议？因为我在训练过程当中吧，现在给青少年的建议只能是，你吃的好一些，然后吃足它。但是就是相对的这些营养素的建议，这些就是还是比较模糊的。所以说，我不知道有没有这些方面的课程啊？
我多问一句，您的这个那个青少年是几岁到几岁？
从8岁到。因为我本身是个大学老师，
是，
本身是个大学老师，然后青少年我从8岁到25岁之间全都有。
25岁之间是吧？但是就是，但是青少年会比较多一点，就是那个就是那个叫什么，青春期的会更多一点，是这意思？
对，青春期的会更多一些，对。
Okay, I'm a teacher from a university. I'm a PT trainer. So I'm working a lot with youth, with young people, aged from 8 to 25, but most of them are adolescents. So the only thing I can recommend them to do with diet or nutrition is to eat well and eat enough. It's a very blur kind of recommendation or suggestion. Do you have any advice or recommendations so for those young people, adolescents, in terms of nutrition, in terms of sports nutrition?
In terms of nutrition, not supplement, just nutrition.
只是有关于这个营养学方面是吗？不是有关于那个补剂方面是吗？还是说您是一个都想了解一下？
我都想了解，因为我看咱们那个 ISSN 的那个课程有这个关于青少年方面的这个课程，但是没在咱们这儿开，没在中国开。
OK。
对。
About both nutrition and supplements. Because I read something from, for example, from the ISSN website, maybe they have a course especially for young people, for adolescents athletes. But we cannot learn this course or to join this course in China. But any recommendations?
Yeah, my personal advice, because I've worked with young kids. I've worked with young kids. In fact, I used to train younger kids. Now, in terms of nutrition, it is exceedingly difficult to get young kids, teenagers, to change how they eat. And I'll be honest, I don't even try to change how they eat. I tell them what they should do, but they never listen because they're kids, right? Yeah. Supplements, though, here's what's interesting. Oftentimes, I'll recommend basic things. Maybe take a multivitamin because it's simple. But the one thing that I think all kids can do, and most parents are okay with it, is drink a protein shake after you exercise. And most parents, because they're afraid of creatine, they're afraid of, other supplements, but they're not usually afraid of a protein shake. So I try to do very simple things. Take a multivitamin and get a protein shake after you work out, because if you try to change their diet, they won't listen to you. They're knuckleheads.
是的，那就我个人来说，我给您一些个人的建议啊，因为我之前也是跟很多时间呢，跟那些年轻人呢，或者跟青少年进行训练的，给他们进行训练的。我给他们有关于膳食方面的一些建议啊，这个我也只是说一说，因为大家都知道这个年轻人呢非常叛逆，或者他们就是很固执，你跟他说了，他们都一般不会听，反正你跟他说的好了，他们也不会去听。所以说膳食方面，我只是给他们建议，做不做就看他们自己了。至于这个补剂方面，我认为对于年轻人对于小孩子来说，或者对于年轻人来说的话，一个是吃维他命，有维他命多种维他命的补充。另外一个就是说，这个可能也是家长可能会去接受的，就是在运动之后去喝一杯蛋白粉，这种蛋白奶昔，因为相对于其他一些补剂来说，比如说像什么肌酸呐、或者那些听上去很那个的东西啊，家长可能会很担心，觉得他们可能会对生长发育啊或者怎么样造成一些影响。但是在我的经验中，他们这些家长对于蛋白粉或者对于这些蛋白奶昔的补充来说，并没有那么的抗拒。这是我2点建议，一个就是维他命，第二个就是蛋白粉或者蛋白补充剂。以上。
Thank you. Okay.
谢谢。我不知道有回答到您的问题吗
No more questions.
OK.
Thank you. 谢谢你。Okay.
谢谢王老师。
We better wrap up now, because it's time to hit the beach. I wish I could. I was actually on a small holiday recently up in the northeast, so I love the beach. Anyway, personally, I'd like to say thank you, Dr. Jose Antonio. I know you're extraordinarily busy, and really appreciate you coming on. I know this is your first time coming on for China, and with the technical difficulties and the translation flow and that, but I really appreciate you coming on, mate. And you're a pioneer. There's a lot of people that love and respect the ISSN, your work, and I really appreciate you coming on.
It's my pleasure.
再次感谢我们何塞博士今天能够拨冗参加我们这样的一个网上的见面会啊！我们知道这个何塞博士也是真的是非常的忙啊，这个日程安排非常满。那现在呢，我们这个东西也是告一段落，那何塞博士也是有时间重新回到他的那个佛罗里达的海滩上去玩耍了。那我再次感谢他的这样今天的贡献。那我们知道他是 ISSN 方面的一个先驱，也是国际运动营养学方面的一个专家大咖。
And please tell everyone, thank you. It's been my pleasure. And we will welcome you with open arms in Florida. So if you want to come visit for the conference, I guarantee you will have a great time.
好的，我也是再次感谢大家今天能够参加我的这样的一个见面会。那么我们也是在佛罗里达张开双臂，欢迎大家能够有机会来参加我们明年的这个会议。我保证大家能够有一个非常好的收获，有非常好的开心的一个过程。以上。
So again, that's June next year, and fingers crossed we can travel. Alan?
我也是希望我们明年6月份能够去到佛罗里达，能够去解除这样的一个旅行禁令，能够去到佛罗里达参加会议。以上。
And if you would like to see Dr. Jose Antonio again before June, Dr. Jose will be our guest teacher for the ISSN CISSN certification in China with translation next year. We haven't got an exact date yet, but we will establish that sometime in 2023, early, when of course Dr. Antonio is free. So that's the next chance you'll be able to see Dr. Jose Antonio at the actual certification. We also have many other amazing teachers, not main lecturers and guest lecturers. Dr. Tricia, who is the current president of the ISSN, is teaching actually a number of weekends. So she's teaching a lot. Dr. Vince, Dr. Jose knows all of these people, maybe not for their Dr. Vince Krepke, and Dr. Roger Adams. So we have a really star expert lecturers teaching. Even I myself is teaching one of the modules on branding and marketing your coaching business.
好的，如果大家迫不及待想要见到我们的这个何塞博士的话，大家可以去报名参加我们的 CISSN 的认证课程呢。他也是会作为我们的嘉宾的教授，会去给我们进行很多的一些讲授。当然说我们现在也是在排他的时间，因为他也是非常忙的一个人。那除了他之外呢，我们还有其他很多的一些非常棒的老师，比如说像 Tricia，他是我们的这个 ISSN 的现任的主席， 他也是会在几个周末的时候在课程上与我们见面，与我们分享他的一些洞见和他的一些专业性的内容。同时我们还有 Vince 博士还有 Adams 这样的一些很好的老师教授会给我们讲课。同时我自己也会就这个运动或者这个健身有关的这个品牌打造以及这个市场运作市场营销方面的东西，我也会与大家进行一些分享。以上 over。
Okay, that's it. Any lasting words, final words, Dr. Jose?
那最后
I appreciate your time and I appreciate the enthusiasm coming from you, Drew, and coming out from China. I think, as the ISSN grows, it'll grow with you guys. And I appreciate all the support. So, again, hopefully we can see each other in Florida next year.
好了，我再次感谢 Drew， 感谢我们中国听众这样一些热情的参与，感谢你们的热情的支持。正是因为 Drew 这样的一些大力的推动或者热情的推动，我们的这个 ISSN 也才能会在我们的亚洲，在我们的东方有一个非常好的发展。我也是再次感谢大家的大力支持，同时我也是满心希望能够在明年的佛罗里达与大家见面。以上。
Okay, thank you. And last but not least, thank you, Alan, putting up with our banter and everything. You've done a great job as always. Thank you, Alan Shishini. Alan, 帮我们的发音。
好 ，OK， 最后也是感谢我们的这个翻译 Alan 呢，他也是做了非常好的工作，感谢，每次都是我们的 Alan 在翻译，谢谢。
Actually, I translated for you and you translated my Chinese. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's
Okay, thank you everybody. Shishini man.
谢谢。
Hello everyone, Drew Campbell here from the Global Performance Nutrition Institute, aka the GPNi.
In the past few years, I got really interested into fitness and nutrition. I was searching for the perfect certification that will equip me with theoretical knowledge and practical experience. That's when I found GPNi.
I recently returned back to the US and took part in the ISSN Sports Nutrition Specialist Certification provided by GPNi. I have to tell you, coaches, it was Dr. Roger explained things in detail, backed by science.
But at the same time, launching other languages in the near future. But the course itself on the on-demand is around 80%. So in that 80% on-demand, which you can access anytime, anywhere in the world, and almost in any language in the world, that's about 80%. So you can really digest, go through things in a chronological order, and then when you understand enough, then you can access to experts through that 20%, and that's through a live format.
As an instructor, as a professor, my goal is to teach people, nutrition and teach people sports nutrition, and to be able to reach people globally and to reach as many people as possible.
The last few years, my clients have been asking me for guidance and tips about nutrition, so I decided to attend this nutrition certification. And I have to say that I learned a lot, and finally I can give the right answers to all my clients.